Hello everyone, welcome back to Believer Science Academy, Bengaluru. This is topic of the day discussion session. In this session, we will be discussing NITI Aayog because it has completed 10 years. So we'll understand the difference between NITI Aayog and Planning Commission and why there was a need to transition from Planning Commission to NITI Aayog, and also see Vision 2035 and other aspects of NITI Aayog. Okay. So it is in news because NITI Aayog marks a decade since its inception in 2015, celebrating its role as the premier policy think tank of the government of India. So presently, NITI Aayog is the premier policy think tank of government of India. So it is very important institution of India. So the roles and functions of NITI Aayog, it has a function of policy formulation, that is, it develops strategic long-term policies aimed at sustainable development across sectors. Okay, and coordination, that is, it bridges efforts between the certain ministries, state governments, and other stakeholders for effective scheme implementation. Okay, one of the key aspects of NITI Aayog is coordination and cooperation between various stakeholders, ministries, as well as federal units, that is, central and the different states. And it also has the role of monitoring and evaluation, that is, it tracks the progress of developmental programs, particularly concerning the sustainable development goals. In this aspect, it has also brought sustainable development goals index, Indian version. Okay, and it also does data collection and analysis, that is, it gathers and analyzes data to guide policy decisions, including the SDG India index for state-wise performance tracking. Okay, and then so the key differences between Planning Commission and the NITI Aayog are: Planning Commission was formed in 1950, whereas this was formed in 2015. Mandate, it was centralized planning and fund allocation. Here in NITI Aayog, only policy advisory and coordination, and there is no power of fund allocation for NITI Aayog. And then approach, it was mainly top-down approach, that is, decisions were taken at the very top and they were transferred, or they were communicated to the lower strata. Here it is the bottom-up approach. So mainly the plannings or approach is taken from the bottom-up approach, that is, lower strata is considered first and then it is taken upwards. And then fund allocation, Planning Commission had the power to allocate funds, whereas NITI Aayog has no fund allocation powers. In federalism, there is limited state participation in Planning Commission. It was morely centralizing in tendency, whereas NITI Aayog emphasizes on cooperative federalism. Okay, it considers state as an active stakeholder in the national governance. And focus, it had 5-year plans, whereas here it is dynamic and flexible strategy. There are no 5-year plans. It was stopped from 2014 onwards. The structure of Planning Commission is static and it is hierarchical. Okay, and here it is dynamic and it is stakeholder driven. There is NITI Aayog president as well as NITI Aayog CEO, which will be appointed by the prime minister, that is central government. And what are the reasons for transitioning to NITI Aayog from Planning Commission? Mainly, it was modern in its approach, that is, addresses the outdated top-down planning model of the Planning Commission and adopt a flexible participatory approach tailored to regional needs. Okay, so the states were demanding more powers and more participation, and their needs and their needs were met by NITI Aayog. Then cooperative federalism, that is, foster collaboration between central and state governments. Cooperative federalism is a key word which you have to be using in whenever there is a question on NITI Aayog or whenever there is a question on federalism issues. Then it also focuses on strategies, that is, strategic focus, that is, serves as a think tank for policy recommendations rather than fund allocation. And then fourth one is stakeholder engagement, that is, it involves state governments, experts, and the public for relevant and effective policies. And the fifth one is the global relevance, that is, it responds to the globalization with the competitive federalism and adaptable strategies. Okay, It is not the like top down approach, since it is bottom up approach, and since it gathers data from various stratas of the world, various corners of the globe, it is able to formulate strategies which is in present context. Okay, so that is why the government felt there was a need to transition from the archaic or age old planning commission to NITI Aayog. Then the NITI Aayog roadmap, that is 2030 and 2035. So it has set certain goals for 2030. That is, by goals for 2030, in aspect of energy transition, aim is to meet 50% of the energy needs from renewable sources and achieve 500 gigawatt non-fossil energy capacity and cut 1 billion tons of carbon emissions. These are all in line with India's nationally determined contributions or Panchamitra target under UNFCCC. Then public health, in the aspect of public health, aim is to strengthen surveillance systems to include non-communicable diseases and environmental factors. And regarding SDG alignment, focus is mainly on poverty eradication, education, gender equality, and sustainable development. Okay. And the vision for 2035 is long-term economic growth, that is ensuring social equity and environmental sustainability with tech-driven growth for 2035. And in energy security, address challenges in the energy affordability, reliability, and accessibility. Then AI integration, that is technological integration, that is leveraging artificial intelligence for healthcare, agriculture, education, and urban infrastructure to improve the efficiency. All these are important visions for 2035, and others include. So these are the like goals. But despite the advantages and despite the change from the planning commission to NITI Aayog, there are certain challenges which are innate to NITI Aayog as well. The challenges are data management, that is, there is a need for robust systems to monitor and inform policies effectively. And second one is interstate disparities, that is, addressing inequalities in resource allocation and development outcomes. Then funding, that is, since planning NITI Aayog doesn't have the funding powers of planning commission, here they needs to secure resources for ambitious projects like renewable energy and public health. Only then the policies formulated can be effectively implemented, because you need wealth or you need economic wealth there. Then in the capacity building, you should equip the NITI Aayog with the workforce with adequate or requisite skills for implementing new technologies and strategies. So if those are the challenges, moving forward, we should be strengthen institutional capacity, that is enhance data infrastructure, governance, frameworks, and interstate collaboration. These should be the way forward, and focus should also be on public-private partnerships, that is PPP model. Mobilize private sector funding, drive innovation, and scale renewable energy and technology initiatives. And the third one is focusing on decentralization, that is empower states and local governments to implement tailored region specific solutions. So in conclusion, NITI Aayog in its 10 years has brought up many policies from like science and technology, such as tinkering labs, Atal innovation labs, in governance such as aspirational district program, and in indices such as SDG development index, or like multidimensional poverty of India, etc. indices and etc. policies which have yielded lots of benefits to Indian government as well as Indian citizenry. So we can see it has been successful in its aspects, but despite that, there are certain innate challenges which we already discussed, and moving forward, those aspects should be addressed. So in conclusion, NITI Aayog's first decade has been transformative in shaping India's development trajectory through inclusive policy making and cooperative federalism, and its focus on sustainability, technology, and innovation is key to achieving long-term national goals. Okay, so moving forward, we should like retain all the good aspects of NITI Aayog and build upon it to improve our goals in the near future. So this ends our discussion. Very fruitful topic and very important topic, because there can be easily a question on NITI Aayog since it has completed 10 years. So what you can do is you can also read about the structure. You can also read about how the important dignitaries of NITI Aayog are like appointed, and what are the important like functions of NITI Aayog, and what are the important components of NITI Aayog. So there is a vision hub, there is NITI Aayog hub, there are different hubs under NITI Aayog. So there is a longer discussion which we can have in some other classes, but for today I focused on the current issue. With this I will end the video. Jai Hind, Jai Karnataka.